السلام عليكم يا شباب ويا بنات، كيف حالكم؟ إن شاء الله طيبين. اليوم إن شاء الله راح ألعب لعبة اسمها The Hand of Glory. لعبة من نوعية أشر واضغط أو كليك اند بويد. بس لحظة أشوف الأوبشن. طيب، لعبة شكلها حلوة يعني قصتها. Do you want to play the game tutorial? Okay, yes, it's my first time.
This story begins where many others generally end. At the time, I worked for a detective agency known as HPD, but I couldn't know then what the acronym really meant. I don't think I ever really knew.
November 10th. Outskirts of
For a few
Miami.
months, I'd been on the trail of the man the press not very originally renamed Blowtorch. A clue led me to the extreme outskirts of Miami, in a little out-of-the-way suburb that smelled like rotten fish.
اوكي، ما قال السنة كم، بس قال في نوفمبر 10 نوفمبر وفي مدينة ميامي. طبعا هو هذا محقق.
Operator, the caller you have dialed is unavailable. Do you want to leave a message?
Bundy, knock it off. Judging from the traffic noise, I'd say you disobeyed my orders.
Hey, I just went out for a ride on my bike. What's the harm?
At 10 in the evening, I told you to stay home. The case is ours. We're already racing to the scene of the tip-off.
But the cavalry's already here, boss. Let me find one of those clues that Blowtorch left for me, and we will stop the next murder before you even divorce your third wife.
I'm on my fourth, Bundy, and I will never understand why that killer keeps leaving clues just for you.
Do you need to ask? Because I'm his archenemy, his nemesis, his worst nightmare.
More like he enjoys leaving you every time grasping a handful of air.
Oh, yeah. Remind me again, old man. Who stopped the Puerto Rican surgeon and the arsonist of the southeast coast? And what about the...
All old news, Bundy. You haven't caught a break for a long time. And for months you've been following Blowtorch without any results. Why don't you go on holiday and let us do the work?
I'm in Miami, dude. Working here is a holiday.
I'm serious, Lars. Give it up.
Listen, boss. I will limit myself to a stealth approach. Identify the victim's flat, I write everything down, I smoke a cigarette, I admire the skyline, I wait for reinforcements. No shootout planned.
That would be difficult, since you never carry a gun with you.
Well, once a chick told me that the weapon at my side makes me clumsy.
Don't cause any shit, Bundy. We'll be there in a short while.
Okay. That means I have a short while to solve this case.
What did you say?
Nothing.
Bundy, don't screw things up, or I swear...
At previous crime scenes, we always found a letter addressed to me, abandoned in the mailboxes. This time, maybe, I would be able to find that letter before the crime was committed. But I had to hurry.
Welcome to the Hand of Glory. In this game, you will investigate a tough case, but you will be able to do so using a few simple commands. Let's see together how. Depending cursor. Depending on its appearance, the cursor will help you understand the action you can take. Click on a specific spot on the ground. Lars will move toward it. Try clicking with the left mouse button anywhere in the scene he can walk to. Okay. Tutorial. The magnifying glass allows you to analyze objects in your immediate surroundings. In this case, you will achieve the same result with both the left and right mouse button. Examine parking meter to proceed. Okay.
A horrible antique coin eater.
The red cursor shows the ability to interact with an element in the environment. According to this scheme, left mouse button interaction, right mouse button examine. Okay. Interact with the green Dar's flask to proceed.
Maybe there was still something useful in Green Dart's flask. Normally I would have filled it with scotch, but I didn't want to find myself in Orlando investigating the red whale again. Like last time. Hey, there really was some scotch after all. Scotch tape, I mean.
Okay, you just acquire your first object. The things you pick up are stored in the inventory, which you can make appear by moving the cursor toward the upper part of the screen. The object in your inventory can be examined by pressing the right mouse button. Certain items offer an additional interface like your cell phone. Examine the cell phone using the right mouse. Okay, زر الماوس الأيمن examination. Okay, always remember to examine the object you pick up for clues or new interfaces helpful to your investigation. Your trusty will come in handy on more than one occasion. From time to time, Lars will write down notes in his notebook, which is useful to keep track of current quests. You can access the notebook by clicking on it in the inventory or pressing in on your keyboard. طيب. Need to search. ماذا نرى؟ Need to search the mailbox for an abandoned envelope. اوكي اللي فهمته ان في مجرم او قاتل متسلسل.
I looked at the various mailboxes and found what I was looking for. An abandoned envelope with no writing or stamps. The only problem remaining was how to open the mailbox. Maybe using something thin for leverage.
The item you are carrying can be used with the object in the scene. Open the inventory, click on the item, move the cursor over the object you want to interact with and click again. Try to pry open the mailbox with an item in your position.
My badge wasn't exactly the right tool to wedge this open with, but it was worth a try. The only thing I accomplished was jamming the badge into the narrow crack above the mailbox.
Okay.
The badge was so jammed that it didn't move an inch.
يعني اللي فهمته في قاتل متسلسل قبل لا يقتل يرسل رسالة أو يترك بعض العلامات بالذات إلى هذا المحقق كأنه يتحداه يعني.
The door was one of those you could only open through an electric impulse. I wouldn't be able to force it open, even if it was a normal model. I've always been a washout as a burglar. An antique and horrible coin eater. An antique and horrible coin eater. There was nothing else in the flask. My green dart. A little engineering jewel made in Italy.
إيه حلو زين إن فيها الحركة هذه لما تضغط على قضيب المسافة سبيس يعطيك هالأشياء هذه يعني الأشياء اللي تقدر تتفاعل معاها في اللعبة. خلنا نجرب. أنا في شيء هنا. إنك تخرج.
I couldn't buzz the whole building without a clue. I couldn't buzz the whole building without a clue. The name on the button told me absolutely nothing. It wouldn't help me in any way. I love making prank calls, but this really wasn't the right moment. A telephone number erased unceremoniously. It was surely the joke of some happy-go-lucky prankster. The only way in seemed to be the emergency ladder. The fire escape reached the upper floor of the building. The alley led around the building to the right. Before examining the area, though, I had to make sure I was in the right place. That stuff tasted like chewing gum stuck under a desk for a month. I know that because at school I never had the money for snacks, so I picked up those. A Frizzo's vending machine. The worst cola ever tasted by a human being. The engine was working though, although the machine wasn't active anymore. I could sense its warmth.
Damage sidewalk.
Here's what the taxpayers' money was being used for. The conditions of that sidewalk were getting worse. A stone bigger than the others just fell off the sidewalk. And who was I not to accept the kind gifts from Providence? I didn't need to make the ladder come down. The little gate was well protected with a lock and chain. At the same time, it was so low that I would be able to jump it, even on my knees. The fire escape reached the upper floor of the building. The badge was so jammed that it didn't move an inch. The way it was stuck, the badge would act as a chisel. As usual, the letter was ripped and written with invisible ink. With Scotch tape, I would be able to easily reassemble it. Well, I'd have to think about the invisible ink later.
You will be able to combine some of the items you will pick up, open the inventory and use the Scotch tape with the letters or vice versa. اوكي هذه الرسالة مكتوبة بحبر سري بس هو يقول خلني ألصقها.
I would have stuck the Scotch tape in the back of the letter
بعدين نشوف
so as to
موضوع
obtain the best readability.
الحبر السري.
I always hated puzzles. If I have to waste time on this...
والله هذه أسهل بكثير من صورة Song of Horror.
I hate this stuff. Once I received a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle as a present. I sold it to my nephew. It wasn't as difficult as I feared. At that point, I just had to find a way to read the message hidden in the letter. Well, I remembered that to reveal invisible ink, you just have to warm it. Where could I find a source of heat that late at night?
Have you found the hotspot finder system already? Click the mouse wheel or the space bar. Show all the scene's hotspot. That's to say, the object with which you can interact. Okay. Hotspot.
As much as I loved wandering around on green dart in the middle of the night, I had work to do. My green dart. A little engineering jewel made in Italy. The alley led around the building to the right. Before examining the area, though, I had to make sure I was in the right place. The little gate was well protected with a lock and chain. At the same time, it was so low that I would be able to jump it, even on my knees. It was impossible to open it from the outside. I would have to look for an alternative way in. Was it really worth it? The vending machine's engine emitted a faint heat, maybe intense enough to show the hidden writing on the letter.
حرارة الآلة.
At first, nothing happened. I was about to give up when it happened. The first characters appeared.
Okay.
The letter corresponded in every way with the ones found before. Supportive tone, an apparent desire to support the police force, then laced with a sudden temper tantrum hinting at a killing frenzy. I had to dig into this, looking for clues.
Okay.
Blowtorch's tone ranged from disappointment to encouragement, with a barely concealed desire for recognition. The forensic guys had no doubt about the gender of the killer just after the first murder. The reason for their certainty wasn't the accuracy of the burns, so much as the various bruises found on the bodies, which displayed extraordinary force. The usual outburst in the middle of a letter that until then seemed thoughtful and balanced. Then I saw the emoticon at the end of the paragraph. That was new. That face. In his earlier letters, Blowtorch never left anything similar. I took a mental note. I guess Blowtorch tried to be funny at times, the only result being to appear even creepier. The last paragraph was surely hiding a clue. The murderer was even directing us to a specific profession. The initials in the last paragraph were found in the previous letter, but they were too vague a clue to narrow down the scope of the investigation. The usual closing format. Blowtorch constantly described himself as a normal citizen and a regular taxpayer. I don't know why, but that format made me mad.
هذا المجرم دائما في آخر رسالته يكتب إنه مواطن عادي ودافع ضرائب غير متهرب يعني من ضرائب.
The letters were always kindly addressed to me. The initials in the last paragraph were found in the previous letter, but they were too vague a clue. I guess Blowtorch tried to be funny at times. The last paragraph was surely the usual outburst in the middle of a letter that until then seemed thoughtful and balanced. Then I saw the emoticon at the end of the paragraph. That was new. I didn't need to make the ladder come down. I thought it was better to look for another solution.
نشوف النوت. Need to analyze the letter for clues. ما زلنا في موضوع الرسالة. طيب.
The usual outburst in the middle of a letter that until then seemed thoughtful and balanced. Then I saw the emoticon at the end of the paragraph. That was new. Blowtorch's tone ranged from disappointment to encouragement, with a barely concealed desire for recognition. The forensic guys had no doubt about the gender of the killer just after the first murder. The reason for their certainty wasn't the accuracy of the burns, so much as the various bruises found on the bodies, which displayed extraordinary force. The usual outburst in the middle of a letter that until then seemed thought. Then I saw the emoticon at the end of the paragraph. That was new. The forensic guys had no doubt about the reason for their certainty wasn't the accuracy of the burns. The usual outburst in the middle of a letter that until then seemed thoughtful and balanced. Then I saw the emoticon at the end of the paragraph. That was new. I guess Blowtorch trying to be. The last paragraph was sure. That face. In his earlier letters, Blowtorch never left anything similar. I took a mental note. That face. I took a mental note. Blowtorch's tone ranged from disappointment to encouragement. The forensic guys had no doubt about the gender, the reason for.
طيب. واحد اثنين ثلاث.
The initials in the last paragraph.
طيب كل شيء سويناه.
That face. I took a mental note. That face. In his earlier letters, Blowtorch never left anything. I took a mental note. I guess Blowtorch tried the last paragraph. I guess Blowtorch tried to be the last paragraph. The initials in the last paragraph were found in the previous letter, but they were too vague a clue to narrow down the scope of the investigation. The usual closing form. I don't know why. The usual closing form. I don't know why. The letters were always kind. The letters were always. Blowtorch's tone ranged. The forensic guys had no doubt of the reason for. The usual outburst in the middle of a. Then I saw the emoticon. I guess Blowtorch trying to be fun. The last paragraph. The initials in the. The usual closing form. I don't know why.
I need to analyze the letter for clues. طيب.
The only way in seemed to be the emergency ladder.
Oh,
I couldn't buzz the whole building without a clue. Someone left a stupid smiley on the intercom. That smile left on the letter, and the one on the intercom were identical. So I could rule out a simple coincidence. I had just identified the apartment I was looking for. The apartment was registered. I hoped I got there in time.
هذه هي الشقة نفس العلامة.
Yes? Who is it?
I'm Detective Bundy from HPD. If you don't mind, I need to ask you some questions. He didn't answer immediately. Moments of total silence passed, during which I thought he had hung up.
Sorry for the hesitation, but I really don't understand what you would want from me. I'm just a normal citizen who...
Yes, of course. But I really need, and I mean really need, to talk to you. With a certain urgency, too. Can you open the front door?
I hate to be a killjoy, but you have a warrant. I don't want to get into trouble with my landlord.
You know what? I guess I forgot it in my other hand. Anyway, I already told you that.
Listen, the landlord is a real pain in the ass, and I don't want any trouble.
If it's such a big deal, you won't have any problem coming back with a warrant. Good night.
شكله هو المجرم.
In my entire career, I had never been mistreated like that by someone I had to protect. Despite the fact that the guy was an idiot, I couldn't let him be killed in cold blood. Besides the front door, the only visible way in seemed to be the fire escape above.
That idiot who won't let me in. I could look for an alternate access point. شوف مكان بديل. أتوقع الحين نقدر.
The stone was ideal for hitting the ladder's security lock. The problem was that I couldn't see it from my position. The ladder was too high for me to reach it. I couldn't even... The ladder was too high for me to reach it. I couldn't even see it from where I stood.
لازم أقرب.
Maybe in that alley, I would find alternative access to the building. It didn't seem so high from the street. Even from the roof, I couldn't get to the fire escape. From the roof, I didn't notice anything peculiar, except maybe a better view of the emergency ladder.
الحين ممكن.
In that moment, I thought of the hundreds of baseball games I'd seen while living in America, and I had a real moment of epiphany. The greatest champions in history were looking at me from the sky, cheering for me and waving their arms. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the newest member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, Lazarus Stonearm Bundy! Give it up for the only, the incomparable, Lazarus Bundy!
أوكي. الحين يمدي يروح فوق.
Lazarus Bundy in my place. Who'd have thought it?
Here's my man. All 7'5" of a man, to be exact. Well, so much the better. If things got out of hand, he could protect me.
Lazarus Bundy, what are you doing? I still had some surprises in store for you. Instead, it's already time to put an end to our game.
Just then, I knew I misunderstood the whole situation.
رهينة.
Other word.
Things went down dramatically. I had no gun, as always, and I had to deal with a mastodon ready to kill his next victim. Burton would surely arrive with backup shortly after. But, how shortly? Moreover, we were convinced we had to protect the man who instead just revealed himself to be the monster we were hunting. I thought of sending a text to warn him, but I had no credit on my phone, having accidentally subscribed to a live weather service. I was in more danger than ever. But at least I knew the weather was fine in Baltimore. One thing was for sure. I couldn't wait anymore.
No, Cabron.
With bare hands, I would barely be able to tickle him.
Yes,
That beast towered over me, but a bottle in the right spot would put anyone to sleep. I had to hold my breath. The slightest noise would betray me. Never mind.
Yes.
What the fuck?
لكننا فشلنا. المفروض أسرع أكون.
Yes.
فيها أكشن.
I told you to close that sewer hole, you slut!
If I hear even one more whisper, I'll be forced to use more brutal methods than usual. Is that clear? Impossible. No.
Freeing the girl was going to be way more difficult than that.
No, Cabron.
Trying to use the lamp as a makeshift weapon would have meant walking the entire length of the room twice. If I wanted to die, I could have found a more glorious method, such as jumping out naked after drawing a target on my chest.
Yes.
I started to come up with something, but I didn't understand how that could possibly help me.
Impossible.
A genuine paradox. My eyes saw the lamp. My brain translated it as good makeshift weapon.
Impossible.
He left the storage room open.
Same place.
She was gagged and strung up like a sausage. But above all, she was busty. This further increased my desire to save her. He already had his own, and I was short on credit. Was it really worth it?
Same place. Same place.
The TV was silently showing a vintage spaghetti western. The beast was busy in a one-sided conversation. All he did was grumble. Apparently he became chatty only...
No.
Breaking his TV would have been ecstasy, but not enough to put my neck on the line.
No.
I started to come up with something, but I couldn't completely focus.
No, Cabron.
I thought it was better to look for another solution.
Could be.
Trying to use the lamp as a makeshift weapon would have meant walking the entire length of the room twice. If I wanted to die, I could have found a more glorious method, such as jumping out naked after drawing a target on my chest.
Same place. No. Yes. Impossible.
A genuine paradox. My eyes saw the lamp. My brain translated it as good makeshift weapon.
Same place.
With bare hands, I would barely be able...
Impossible.
I started to... My eyes saw the lamp. I just have gone from the frying pan into the... Freeing the girl was...
No, Cabron. Impossible. Yes.
As always, I was out of credit. By that time, they were all using... I had a pretty good idea of how to distract the threatening big guy.
Could be.
He already had his own, and I was short on credit. A strong show of authority, or maybe showing her my badge would have been pointless in her situation. For a moment, and a moment only, I thought about.
Ah,
That would have been a fitting ending for sure.
Sometimes my mind floated and envisioned the most absurd situations. Same place. Yes.
Change the channel, right now. Oh. The TV was silently showing us.
Yes.
My beloved badge. How much abuse and
No.
she was gagged and strung up like a sausage. But above all, she was busty. This further increased my desire to save her.
Yes.
My eyes saw the lamp. My brain translated it as good. Trying to use the lamp as a make, but wanted to. Breaking his TV would have been. Was it really worth?
No. Could be.
Trying to use the lamp as a make, but wanted to die?
Impossible.
As always,
No, Cabran. No. No. No.
I thought it was better. A genuine. My eyes saw the lamp. The beast was busy in a woods. All he did was grumble. Apparently, the beast was busy in a. All he did was grumble. Apparently, he became chatty only when it came time to write me letters.
Same place. Yes. Impossible. Yes.
The TV was silently showing a vintage. He left the storage room open. I just have gone from the frying pan into the fire. I started to come up with something, but I couldn't completely. I thought it was better to. Was it really worth? Trying to use the lamp, but wanted.
Yes. No.
A strong show of. Or maybe it would have led to a beating.
Yes.
I was all out of ideas. Showing her my badge. I didn't understand how. I'd fantasized enough for one night.
Impossible.
Was it really worth it? I didn't understand how that could possibly help. I thought maybe I could use the mobile. I didn't understand how. I didn't understand. He already had his own, and now.
Impossible. Could be.
My beloved badge. How much abuse and
No. Could be.
with bare hands, I would barely.
Yes. Same place. Yes. No.
My eyes saw the
Yes.
I didn't understand how she was gagged and strung up, but above all,
No. Yes.
he left the storage room open.
Yes.
I just have gone from the frying pan. I just have gone. He left the storage room open.
No.
A genuine. I started to come up with. My eyes saw the lamp. I thought maybe I could use the mobile phone to lure Blowtorch into the storage room. But how? I thought maybe I could use the mobile phone to lure Blowtorch into the storage room. But how?
Yes.
I didn't understand. My eyes saw the lamp. My brain translated. I was all out of ideas. Was it really worth?
Yes.
He already had his own.
Possible.
Maybe. Or maybe not. I was all out of ideas. Maybe. Or maybe not. She was gagged and strung up like a sausage. But above all, she was busty.
Yes.
As always,
Yes.
by that time, they were all using those instant messaging.
Could be.
I only had a game. The one with the snake that has to eat the dots all scattered all over the screen.
Cabron.
I was complete rubbish at video games.
Could be.
I was desperate and in dire straits. I could do nothing but go for broke.
اوكي خليه على
Let me do, slut. First, I need to recover that damn phone that I still don't know how you managed to keep from me. Then we'll settle up.
فرصتك.
What the fuck?
Stay calm. I'll get you out of here in a split second.
يا ساتر.
Hurry! Run! I'll hold him.
والله راح فيها. November 11th, somewhere else. هذا كله كان مقدمة. بس والله صعب هذا غزة، ما يخطر على البال.
The blowtorch case didn't go as I'd hoped. Instead of the savior, I found myself impersonating the damsel in distress. Luckily, Burton came just in time to get me out of the doghouse. In contrast to his usual MO, Blowtorch was about to take my head off with his bare hands. The signs on my neck would take weeks to disappear completely. I got suspended from the service indefinitely, obviously, and I would soon discover that sitting on my hands would never be a part of my life again. I found the Miami Harbinger under my door, as I had every day since I'd subscribed to their delivery service.
اوكي زين انقذ واحد.
I immediately saw the blurb on the front page. Blowtorch had been identified as David Ramos, an ordinary man who made a living working as a plumber. The initials, the plumbing job, everything matched the information found in the letters. That crazy guy had given us, little by little, his complete identikit. The envelope sticking out didn't have a normal appearance. A cold shiver passed down my spine. Had I just received yet another letter from Blowtorch? I immediately noticed the strange seal with which it had been secured, but I would think about that later. With a trembling hand, I set out to pull out the letter. On the paper was an address and a series of meaningless numbers. Nothing else. Ramos was giving me an appointment in a West Miami alley, but that wasn't the most absurd thing. The most absurd thing is that I'd probably have gone. The leading story dealt with the disappearance of a young girl, the daughter of a certain Molesberg. Apparently, he was one of the richest and most powerful men in the city. Nevertheless, I had never heard of him before. The journalist was doubting the real disappearance of the teenager, assuming she was a runaway instead. I wonder what clues she could have had that led to such speculation. So Ramos was back after just a few hours on the run, ready to pick up our challenge where it left off. In the meantime, the Miami Harbinger was publishing news about the disappearance of the Molesberg scion that occurred the night before. What if she was the victim chosen by Blowtorch? I should seek out more information. The morning news was being aired right then. Maybe there was still time to catch the final minutes of it.
Okay. About the morning news thread. For leaving home, I need to retrieve my cell phone.
I didn't want anything from the bar. Before joining the detective bureau, how many friends did I... Despite Burton's timely intervention, Ramos was able to disappear into the night and not get caught. At least now the public knew his real identity. The man would struggle to move freely. The leading story dealt with the disappearance of a... Apparently, he was one of the journalists was... What the hell was my remote control doing in there? The TV didn't turn on. The batteries were probably dead. and the closest retailer was half an hour away by foot. Damn batteries. There must be some way to give you even a little boost. In that moment, it didn't seem to be a good solution. Plover Alley had to be a sec. The wax seal was With blood and sweat, I had completed that collection of action figures when I was a kid. After Green Dart, it was my biggest triumph. Inside that fridge, there wasn't even misery left. It kept the device thermostat held in position. Removing it would drop the temperature as low as it could go. But, alright, I rarely ate the junk food in my fridge anyway. Better think about it. I thought it was better to look for another solution. The universal remote control for my original pony. The best of the worst. My LCD pony, which cost me an arm, a leg, literally. When I moved here, it slipped from... If I left then, I wouldn't know what to look for precisely. First, I needed to find some information, and I still needed to retrieve my cell phone. The poster claimed that the cold filled you with energy. I wondered if that was true. I always preferred the sea to the mountains. The poster claimed that I wondered if that was...
اوكي احط الريموت يعني في الثلاجة.
I read somewhere once that a dead battery could regain a small amount of energy in an extremely cold environment. Could it be true, this story of batteries recharging in the cold? Hey, maybe that's what igloos are. Huge batteries shaped like houses. Oh, that would explain why Eskimos wear gloves, to prevent electric shocks. It was time to discover if my limited physics knowledge would help me or not.
Of famous tycoon Eric Molsberg, where an attempted break-in was reported last night. No statement has been released either from the police or the family, so the specifics of the offense are still shrouded in mystery. The only detail that has been leaked so far is some strange graffiti drawn on the front of the mansion, probably left by the same individual or group that attempted the late-night illegal entry. As you can see behind me, the symbol appears to have been applied using an enormous quantity of blood, perhaps of a human nature. We await confirmation on the origin of the liquid, with hopes that it isn't the blood of young Catherine Molsberg. Stay tuned to this network for further developments. From Gwendolyn Pratt, back to you in the newsroom.
That symbol on the wall. I saw it even before that swine of a hack opened her mouth. It was identical to the seal on the letter I'd just received. I had no doubt anymore. Blowtorch was pulling out all the stops to finish our challenge in style. I toyed with the idea of contacting Burton to bring him up to speed on the situation, but I scrapped that thought. If I could close the case myself, my superiors would be forced to reinstate me into the department. Was it really worth the risk of falling straight into a trap? Or was I kidding? I was never the kind of man to back down from a challenge, no matter how dangerous it may be. It was high time to let the world see what I was worth. I wouldn't be remembered as the detective that let one of the worst serial killers in the history of Miami slip away.
Okay. I also need to retrieve my cell phone. طيب. Cell phone. هنا.
Bobby was down there for a reason. To protect me from nightmares. I'd remove it only in case of extreme need. Bobby the bear. Lately he'd been slacking. Bobby was down there for a reason. To protect. I'd remove it only in case of extreme need. I'd wait for the right moment to enjoy one of my last cigarettes. The cell phone was inside the nightstand, comfortably resting in the underwear drawer. When I bent down to pick it up, I found myself looking at my parents' photograph. Mom and Dad, on holidays in Greece during their honeymoon. Dad with his typical sly look, Mom with an unlikely 80s rock star hairstyle. We always used to make fun of her for that juvenile look. How long had it been since I left Italy? And them. Looking at that photo always left me with a sour taste in my mouth, but that wasn't the right time to get lost in memories. I had a cell phone to retrieve and an investigation to continue. The night before, I'd even been able to deactivate that paid weather service. I could finally use the phone to do what it was designed for, making phone calls. The thing to do next was retrieve Green Dart, just in case I needed to race off in pursuit of Ramos. My beloved bike had been left at the HPD the night before. To recover it, a long walk awaited me. Hey Richie, how's it going?
Hello, Lazarus.
Richard, we've been neighbors for 5 years now. What do you think about finally calling me Lars?
I like the sound of Lazarus.
There's something magnetic about it, don't you think?
Speaking of magnetism, do you still have that magnet I loaned you?
Yeah, well, you know, it's complicated.
What do you mean by complicated? You didn't lose it, did you?
No, not lost, no. I used it in a secret mission.
My magnet. In a secret mission.
Very, very secret. So secret I can't tell you anything about it.
Well, do me a favor and get it back to me as soon as possible. It's a fond family memory.
And that's what it would remain for poor Richard. A memory. Any good news in the mailbox?
Once you could find love letters inside. Now it's just bills and a mountain of advertising. Do you even read the advertisements they send you?
No, I just use it to ignite the coal at the barbecues with my colleagues. See you soon, Richie.
Sure, at next Sunday's residence meeting. You'll come, right?
I have a previously scheduled engagement.
Sorry, did I say Sunday? I meant Saturday.
Even worse, I have to attend a funeral.
Oh, too bad. Then my condolences.
The only one who'd die would be me if I went to another one of those stupid meetings of boredom. For months, I kept asking and asking Miss Joyce to repair that hole. Sooner or later, I would fall through it again. The Parmesan had been dangling from the ceiling for years, and by now, it had reached a very strong seasoning. I used to prepare a trap for a rat that was haunting the attic. I almost managed to grab it when the floor decided to collapse underneath my feet. And what's worse, I disastrously landed on the floor beneath, causing that huge hole. Moral of the story? The Parmesan was still hanging from those wires, and I had started to hate rats. The Parmesan had been dangling from the ceiling for years. The Parmesan had been dangling. I found a very bad surprise waiting for me outside the office. Those idiots in the department had pierced a tire of my beloved Green Dart. Furthermore, the bike was locked to the streetlight with its chain. We, though, probably had the keys, but for the tire, I would have to come up with something. One thing was for sure, I wouldn't leave the HPD without my Green Dart.
ما أدري كيف السيف في هاللعبة. راح تسيب. اوكي هنا سيف. خلنا نسيف ونكمل مرة ثانية. أتمنى هذا الفيديو عجبكم، ونشوفكم إن شاء الله على خير، في أمان الله.